Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Shanna Kramer and I will be painting along with you to this week's Creatively Uncorked members only painting, Splash of Sunflower. The Creatively Uncorked membership is where you can get better at painting 1 week at a time. In this fall painting, we are going to stick with our fall colors, terracotta, indigo, and olive. We also have a little bit of gray or silver that we'll be adding to this, and we'll be using those colors throughout. We'll start by filling in our background, and then I'll show you how to mix up those colors. The only paints that we're using today are going to be red, blue, yellow, black and white, and a little bit of silver as a bonus. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is mix up a gray, a light gray for the background. All right, so I'm going to take some white, and yes, I'll be using silver on the background as well, but first I want to make sure that I have some gray, just because the silver is a transparent color and the black and the white colors are opaque, meaning you can't see through them. Not very well anyway. We're going to be using a lot of gray on this painting, so just so you know. And I want it a little bit lighter. I'm mixing this up with a paint knife. You can get one of these at any art supply store. You can order them online. If you're a Creative Box Live subscriber, we would have sent one out to you in your box. Okay, I've got a pretty good amount of gray there. Another color I want on my background is going to be some silver. I'll just squeeze out a little bit right there, and then use both of these colors in the background. So when working in my background, I want to take a reasonably large brush, dunk it in some water first, and then I'll pick up that gray. This time I'm doing horizontal strokes, and I do intend to hang this vertically, but it's a lot easier to paint it sideways just so I can get a better view on the camera. And if you have a bigger brush than this, that would be fantastic. You always want to use the biggest brush possible. That way you can paint with fewer brush strokes, and you'll finish your painting faster. All right, keep going here. I'm making sure that I have enough solid ground for my silver to go over. Because just silver, see that? Not going to cover very well. Not going to look very good. But the gray, that's going to fill in pretty solid, and then I can put silver over the top of it. Even if it blends in a little bit, I don't care. I'm not that worried about it. The silver is still going to show well enough. And if you are painting the edges of your canvas, go ahead and paint the edges right after you paint the top. Paint the top first and give it a chance to dry. Then paint your edges. Top covered. Good to go. And I'll just, while this is still wet, it's fine to me that it's still wet. I'm not that worried about it. So I'll go ahead and pick up some silver. Okay, don't go overboard on this. The center is going to be covered by a flower, so I'm pulling brush strokes out from the center. I do want the silver to be on top of the gray, not blended in. So this is just one technique to be able to keep the silver on top, is just don't blend it. Put the paint down, walk away. Don't try to get any thick globs like that on there though. See that? I can paint much straighter lines with my right hand than my left. I guess it works that way for everybody. One hand will paint better than another, right? And I'll add a few other colors here in the background as I work along, but I need to get those colors mixed first. So I want to make sure that I have a background to work with. I'm painting this gray, giving it a chance to dry, a couple of little silver streaks in there. And then I can move on to the rest of my painting. Okay, so there's my background. I'm going to set this aside and mix up some colors. The colors are going to be terracotta, which is similar to an orange. Probably equal amounts, slightly more yellow than red. I'll just put a dot of blue over here that I can pick up and use when I need it. We're mixing no whites into this, none. We'll add the whites later. So for the terracotta, the first thing I'm going to do is make my orange. Okay, that is still pretty red, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to it. I'm not worried about mixing up too much paint here. When you're mixing colors like this, and this is going to be a pretty unique color, it'll be hard to mix the same color twice. Plus, we're going to be adding it to another mixture. There we go. I'll add some blue. So you would just want to mix up a little bit extra because you don't want to run out. You don't want to have to try to mix the same color again. We're mixing 5 colors into here. How's that? Is that looking terracotta? Actually, no. It's looking a little blue. Oh boy, now we're going to add some more red. And yeah, I wish there was direct formulas, but it's kind of trial and error. Similar amounts of red and yellow and a lot less blue. That's what it's going to end up being. And if you end up with more of a rust color, rust is good. Okay, so that is my terracotta color. I'm just going to pile that up, let it go, and move on to the next color. The next color is going to be in olive green, which is going to be some blue, some yellow, and I'll put some red over here. And I'll just use a tiny dot of red. Here we are, olive green. I'm first going to make a nice medium green. And then make that green olive by adding red to it. There's a nice medium green right now. And we'll go ahead and add some red to that, which should turn it olive. If you are using your own paint and you have olive, indigo, and terracotta already available to you, by all means, go ahead and use those. I personally prefer to mix colors myself, unless I'm in a really big hurry, like a 10-minute painting. Just because the color can be a little more interesting. You can just do some quick little variations of it. Here is going to be my indigo. So I'll just wipe that knife off and let's see. Indigo is going to be mostly blue. I know that's not going to be enough now, so I'm going to do a little bit more blue. And I'll start mixing that up. Because the blue that I'm using is phthalo blue. And so it's a very bright, very powerful blue. And I want to dull that down into an indigo, which is going to be more darker, duller. So to make indigo out of phthalo, it's going to be a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. Looking pretty good. See, it doesn't take much of either color, just enough to just kind of kill down that brightness of the blue. There we are. So that is going to be my indigo. So happy with all of these colors right now. Indigo, olive, terracotta. On to the fancy part. Okay. I'm going to take a scoop of gray and bring it over here and mix my blue into it. And I'm doing blue just because I have blue on my knife right now. A little bit more blue. And I know I'm right next to that silver. If I accidentally mix in silver, here, let's just do it. There, mix in silver. If you don't have silver right next to your pile, you don't have to do that. I just did, so I wouldn't be getting weird variations of stuff. Okay. I might want to make that a little, there you go. A little lighter. There we are. Okay, scooping up my indigo gray. Wiping that off. All right, now I got this last pile of gray. I'll just separate it out a little there. This one's going to be for olive. So just mix in a little olive there. I think I might want another little dot of that. Lovely, but a tish more. Okay, that is probably more than enough. I don't want it darker than that, so I'll mix it in and move on. So there is my olive. So with my last little pile of gray here, this one is going to be mixed in with my terracotta. So picking up a scoop of the terracotta, adding it to that gray. Give it a good mix in. So now I have my lights and my darks, and these are going to be blended with my silvers, possibly even white, maybe even black. Haven't decided yet. On we go. So back to this background. At this point, this painting is way too wet. You can see that in the light, how shiny that is. That is way too wet to paint on. So we are going to take a short break and blow dry. Let's move on to our sunflower. So the sunflower is going to have a center. And let's just go ahead and start out with some color here. The center, I'm going to make it this terracotta. And I'm just going to do a dot right there. Kind of a big dot. Yeah, kind of a big dot. Right in the middle of the canvas. Okay, that's going to be the center of our sunflower. And we'll do some leaves. For the leaves, we are going to have to use some yellow, and that yellow is going to be mixed in somewhat with our terracotta color to give it a little bit of an orange. So I'll just take some more yellow there. And I'm switching to a slightly larger brush because that's just going to be a little bit easier on these gigantic petals. So I'll start with taking a little tiny bit of yellow and moving it over to the middle, and I'm just going to mix it in with some terracotta that's there, and this is going to be my orange color. Okay, and when I have that orange color, this is going to go on the outsides of that circle. So let's not get too uptight about where each exact petal goes, but they are going to radiate out from the center like a clock. No, not a digital clock, silly. All right, so when I have my color now, and I'm leading with the skinny edge. So press the brush down and kind of give it a twist, straighten it out, pull it toward the center. If you want to go back up to the top of that brush stroke, twist the other direction, go back to the center. What a beautiful brush stroke, right? Look at that. We are pros at making sunflowers. Look at that. All right. A little more yellow, a little more terracotta. And I kind of have both of them blended a little bit. Oops, let's get more yellow than that. Okay, so we're going to go this way, east and west, I'll call it. All right, now you see what's happening here where I'm getting this really big ridge of paint. We don't want that. No, we want this to be reasonably flat. So if that happens, take that paint off the canvas and just scrape it back on your plate. Okay, these are the background petals, so we're going to have another layer over the top. These are going to be the darkest. And I'm just doing the, if we're thinking of this as a clock, it's going to be the 3, 6, 9, and 12 petals first. And then I'm just going to come back in here and filling in the others. Filling in a few in between. Give it a nice little twisty-do. That looks like it's got 2 background petals. Maybe it does. How about that? So many petals. If you think you're making too many, you're probably not. Okay, too much red there. Twist out, straighten out, twist the other way, straighten out. Beautiful. Gorgeous, love it. Fantastic. And if you need to practice these brush strokes first somewhere else, you go right ahead and do that. Okay, so now I'm just going to take, because you can see through all of these, that's fine, that's my first layer. So I'm going to take my brush, wipe that the heck off right there, and then brighten up that yellow. I'm adding white to it to make it a little more opaque, because you can see what's happening here is that you can see right through those brush strokes, and that darker silver in the background is showing through. This is the way to help that out. So I've got my white paint here, mixing it in with my yellow, because yellow is a very transparent paint color. You will see through it. The white is more opaque. So the combination of the two, let's see what happens. All right, these are my top Nice, huh? There we go. I'm just going to throw in some nice wiggly flower petals in there with my white and my yellow. And these should be nice and bright and stand out. Well, I like the way that's looking. If you want to make some of these a little bolder, a little thicker, you go right ahead. Or if you would like to add another layer over the top of these, you do that too. I probably will. There we are. So look at that. That is getting pretty darn nice, don't you think? Yeah, I like it. Okay, cleaning off the brush one more time, and then I'll add my innermost centerist row of petals. So here is my reference. And I'm going to do 3 rows. So I've got the outer row, middle row, inner row. The inner row has the most bright on it, but also has a combination of bright and dark. So let's start by adding a really bright. So I'm taking more white than yellow this time. More white than yellow. And these are a little bit shorter. This time I'm starting at the center and going out. And then just lift off where you want your petal to stop. I'll show you a little trick with these too. Once I get to the end, because I really want these to stand out. So I'm going to come back and add white tips, because I think the amount of white I have isn't bold enough. And I don't want to add a brighter orange because I'm trying to stick to my color palette. Okay, wiping that brush off. And let's grab some white again. A little bit of white, tip of the brush. Less white, still tip of the brush, okay. Pick up more just about every time just because this paint is wet. So you have to add thicker paint to thinner when it's wet. And I'm still using my big fat brush here. I'm just using the corner of it. Well, what do you think of that? It's looking a lot brighter, isn't it? A little more white. So another thing we're working on this month is bouncing colors. So when I say bouncing colors, I mean your eye should be bouncing around from color to color. So if I have a big white glob here, for example, then your eye is going to see that first and then look at all the other white spots. So this is your eye bouncing around from white to white. But I don't want white to be the only bouncy color. I want all of them. All right, I'm going to let this go for a little bit. Brush back in the water. And I'm coming back out here to look at that green that's going to go on the outside. That'll help to also add a little more definition. Going into my olive green, which is kind of going to be our, well, not kind of, this is going to be our sunflower leaf color. Okay, we're doing I have a flat brush here, and flat brushes work way better for this, all right? I'll tilt it up again so you can see. I'm leading with the thin edge. I'm going between some of these back petals and just going right along the petal, twisting sideways, right? Push down, lift up, straighten it out. Same deal on the other side. Push down, follow along that petal. And I'll add a few more. And they don't have to be in here everywhere, but there is going to be some green here and there on your sunflower. So on here, we've got it kind of at the bottom. Doesn't stick out too far, but, oh, knocking everything over with the stem. You are going to see some petals sticking out from the side. Okay, that's enough showing you that sunflower before I knock the whole place over. All right, so I'll just get a few more greens in here. And I'm trying not to be too perfect about this. Let's see, get some little random leafy things going on in here. Yeah, I'll call that a random leafy thing for sure. Okay. And sometimes you're going to see that green all the way up behind some of those dandelion petals. Okay, enough of the green, right? Maybe I want a little more. So here's what I mean by bouncing color. So you're seeing the green. Where else do you want to see green? Where else do you want your viewer's eye to go next? Maybe put a little green in there. Don't go overboard. We're not following sunflower rules here. We're following artist rules, which means we're going to do what the heck we want. Don't let anybody tell you different. There. So how's that for bouncing greens? Yeah? That is okay. I'll just take this one. There we go. Go back to my, let's try a different brush here and bring out some more of those yellows. Whites and yellows. Great, so here I'm just bringing some warmth back toward the center of this sunflower. Not too much, this should be orange, not red. So be sure to keep enough yellow in there. And if I'm overlapping into the center here, I don't really care. Let's see, bounce colors, bounce colors, bounce colors. Maybe I want some terracotta out there on my greens. Heck yeah, I do. I haven't even gotten to the blues yet. Blue, let's go blue. Okay, I have my little filbert brush here. Dip it into the blue. So this time it's kind of like stippling, and stippling is just you just tap, 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 tap. And I'm kind of circling around here, kind of twisting this brush here and there so it doesn't turn out too even. All right, and then I'll go on to a touch of yellow. What happens when you mix yellow and blue? Of course you get green, so I'm gonna have a little bit of green here in the center of my sunflower. And isn't that happy? Now that that's there, I'll just take that little bit of red for the center, our terracotta. There, some little dotty dots. I bet I could even do a few more yellow dots in the middle. Not too many. The yellow shouldn't be a big highlight area. Okay, so there is the center of my sunflower. Now I'm starting to like it a little bit better. We need some streaks in that background. So let's see. I like the blue, but I'm only using it in one place. At this point, we've got our background in. We've got our general flower in. It needs some work. It's a little on the messy side. So this is what I like to call the ugly stage. Every painting goes through it. Every painting gets to a point that it gets worse before it gets better. That's called the ugly stage. Never stop painting at this stage. All right, now I'm back over to my light colors. My greens mixed with grays. And these are all going to be opaque, so you can put these wherever the heck you want. They'll cover some stuff, not cover other stuff. But some of my greens are pretty bold right now. And this is going to help flatten them out into the background. Okay, and I'm not doing it everywhere. Just blending a couple spots. Doing some streaks in the background. See, where else might that help? Right around here. There. I think I might add some blue to that spot. See, I've got a little bit of green. So I can bring that green right up into the plant if I want to. I'll definitely put some more green in here. Not trying to cover it up entirely. Just trying to add some variety. Okay, this is a definite green. When I'm doing my background streaks, I'm just doing all horizontal. I'm going straight all directly across the canvas. So I can go along a petal, along a leaf, and then horizontal. Let's see, how's that looking? Still got a couple of weird spots. Maybe I'll try some blue up in here. And I know what you're thinking right now. Would this help fix a regular painting? Yeah, might. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. This is adding noise to your painting, and noise can be a good thing. So I want to build up my background a little bit more. I'm going to add some of these blues. And let's see if I can get a blue right in there. Paintings, to me, are like music. And if it sounds wrong, make it better. Okay, now I'm back to the bouncing the color around method. Maybe I'll try a slightly darker blue in here. Well, I'm liking this darker blue anyway. How's my bouncing color doing? Let's get some more of this terracotta. Because I feel like for this thing to have that reasonable amount of bounce that it needs, these colors are going to have to be a little bit darker. So where are you bringing your eye? Around here, 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 here? That's great. That's fantastic. How about here? How about here, 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 here? Yeah, that works too. I want some more blue on this leaf. My background is getting pretty abstracty, so let's move on. What color do we want in the center of the flower? Well, let's try that light terracotta and see how it goes. Okay, back of the brush. Okay, back to the biggest brush I've got. Back to my yellow and white. I'm pretty soon going to call this quits. Got a little bit more splashy to do. But I'm going to take that white and that yellow and bright, bright, bright. Bright, bright, bright. Okay, and I'm redoing my inside petals. Oh, more white, more thick. Should be way more opaque. I think it has a lot more continuity if these interiors go out a little farther. More white. Okay, well that is certainly happy news, isn't it? Got a little more depth in there and a little more interest. Let's do some splashing. Pick whatever color that you want. Let's try some of this nice terracotta. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing this super liquidy. Okay, mixing a lot of water into it. Lot of water. Actually, this works better with a small brush, so, you know, do as I say, not as I do. And then gently tap. Gently. Very gently. You want the paint on your canvas, not on your electronics. Okay, rinse that out. I'm going to move on to the blue. Soupy, 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 watery blue. Well, it's more fun to splatter. Okay, so let's try silver. Just gonna squeeze out a little dot of silver here. There we go, that's plenty enough. A lot of water, a little silver, mixy mix. Gonna tilt up the canvas here. Okay, so the silver is definitely not showing up as much as the other colors. But maybe I can just take some silver and streak it in. Can you see this? Probably not. I'm kind of hiding off the camera here. There. What do you think? Better, worse? Okay, let's twist out some. Whoop. So if there are any spots that got too dark, we can just kind of dab those off a little. A lot of these I like, and I don't want to get rid of, but there's a few that I'm going to just hide. Like right here in my big bright white. Yeah, I like that one. I like these big bold streaks. I'm going to leave those as they are. Take a little more of this green, just bringing in some streaks from the outside in. Blue, I think I've got plenty of blue, but I do like that blue. Ooh, plus if I hit any spots of splatter, it blends them. Isn't that nice? Okay. Next up, we're going to learn how to paint a hot mess. All right, so this is our splash of sunflower. I hope you enjoyed it. This is a fun painting that you kind of get away with whatever the heck you want. And I will see you next time.